Next on MLR Weekly, Seattle owner Adrian Balfour on all things Major League Rugby and USA Rugby, plus Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. Rugby Wrap-Up brought to you in part by Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. The Pig and Whistle, the world's best rugby pub. And Lean and Limber, stretching your way to a healthier lifestyle. Hello again and welcome to this week's MLR Weekly as presented by Rugby Wrap-Up. Matt McCarthy in New York City, thank you for joining us. And we will not disappoint you. We have a big show. We have Mr. Adrian Balfour, owner of the Seattle Seawolves and Renaissance Man. He's going to talk everything MLR, USA Rugby, and of course the Seawolves. But before we get to Mr. Balfour, we have our recurring segment, Rugby Morning's Coffee Break with John Fitzpatrick. John, get us going.
Let's start with some happy trails. LA Guiltini's flanker Angus Cottrell, who played 2 seasons in LA and won a championship, has officially retired from professional rugby. Matt, does this support your theory that it's last call for the LA Guiltinis and MLR?
I don't know. I think they're a colorful franchise. They might not be back in the same iteration they were, but they'll be back. Next.
Fascinating. Let's go up to Seattle. Prop Kellen Gordon, an MLR champion himself, announced his retirement from professional rugby as well.
Another good player, solid citizen. Wish him nothing but the best. Next.
Departure. Utah Warriors Lakuna Guli signs with Japan Rugby League One side Honda Heat. Let's hope his passport is up to date, because it'll be quite the odyssey traveling to Japan. I hear Guli and Utah reached an accord and that the conversation was civic. Matt, speaking of Hondas, do you know a good dealership where I can get one?
I don't know what drives you, John, but yes, Sheehy Auto Stores. It's easy at Sheehy. Next.
Trade alert, Old Glory DC sent salary cap considerations in 2023 and their second-round pick in next year's draft to New England in exchange for prop Quinton Newcomer. He's a local boy, grew up in the DC suburbs. Matt, do you think he will channel his inner Ozzy Osbourne?
You mean I'm coming home or whatever?
Mama, I'm coming home.
Ozzy!
You know, man.
Staying with Old Glory, they re-signed center Junior Sao. He scored 9 tries last season, tied for 4th in the league.
Tied for 4th in the league? Not worth a mention. Next!
Let's go up I-95. New England Free Jacks, they re-signed American winger Zach Bastries to a 2-year deal. Zach was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2021 MLR Collegiate Draft, a late-round gem.
He is one fast Bastris.
Last but certainly not least, head north to our Canadian brethren, the Toronto Arrows. They have signed Canadian international fly half Shane O'Leary. Shane played the last 2 seasons in France with Pro D2.
Très bien, très bien. Prochain.
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Wait. Whoa. What about the shirt?
Oh, the American Raptors?
Yeah.
About how they may potentially join a Canadian team, the Pacific Pride, in an expanded SLAR starting in 2023.
As soon as we find out what an expanded SLAR is, we'll get it to you, ladies and gentlemen. But what else you got? Is that it?
Matt, that is it.
All right. Thank you, Mr. John Fitzpatrick, with this week's Rugby Morning's Coffee Break. We'll be right back with Adrian Balfour.
Selling or trading in your vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. With Easy Trade, start online or visit us in store. We want your vehicle, and we'll give you up to 125% of KBB value.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
Wheels on fire, taking them higher like Speedy Gonzalez, making you tire. Classy ambition in every position, immense in defense, just like Mum's fence. Tactics, fanatics, hat-tricks, fantastic. There's nowhere to hide from the Welsh side vibe. Football tribe. World Cup pride.
And we are back with Mr. Adrian Balfour. And, sir, you are a true Renaissance man. And I want to explain actually who you are to the people at home, but there really is no explaining who you are. But I'm going to give it a shot. Number one, you're a guy that can basically do anything on a lake. You can ski, board, tube, and you can literally and figuratively drive the boat. You're also somebody that spends a good amount of his time herding sheep on both sides of the Atlantic in Pennsylvania and in Northern Ireland. Right so far?
You got it right.
All right.
I can do those things for sure.
You've also got this little thing called the Seattle Seawolves, but that's not even your day job. Your day job is basically, I'm out of my depth here, but basically you design software that enables electric cars to function.
Yes, that's it. That's it. You got it. Man, you're good. You're good.
All right. So after that long bio, welcome, sir. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again, Matt. Good to see you.
All right, let's not waste any time. LA and Austin.
Those are two cities, correct? Yes.
One of these days, one of you guys.
You passed the test, Matt. Yes, those are cities. In fact, they're in the United States too.
Warm weather cities for 200.
Warm weather cities, yeah.
Okay, so gambling man, since you're not going to give me any intel, obviously, on LA and Austin situation yet. If you're a gambling man, I've asked this of your fellow owners. How many teams next season to 2023?
I'm an optimist. Always have been, always will be. So I would say at least as many as we had last season playing next season.
At least. Oh, that. Okay. All right. Okay.
But having said that, I am an optimist. So just back
you are an optimist. We like optimists. You have to be certifiably insane too, because you're doing this,
Optimistically insane, yes.
Fair enough. Okay. Let's shift.
That's the nature of the game.
Let's talk Seattle Seawolves. 2023. You guys were on the cusp of winning your third championship. You've already got two under your belt. What can we expect from the Seawolves in 2023?
We made quite a lot of changes last season to the squad to kind of get us back into front foot rugby. And we're keeping the core of the squad for this season coming up. And we're making a few sort of positional or key strategic hires, if you want to put it that way, in key positions. And Clarkie's been working hard getting those over the line.
Head coach Alan Clark.
Yes. Yeah. So he's been working really hard to get those over the line. And I think, clearly we went to the final last season and we want to go one better this season.
And it was, maybe some questionable officiating that could have potentially cost you that third championship. And is that why you annexed Brad Tucker to New York?
No, that was Clarkie has a decision on how,
or jettisoned, I should say, jettisoned.
Jettisoned.
Out of Seattle to New York.
No, it wasn't his fault that he had a no arms tackle on him. That's not his fault. And that the referee missed that call.
Well, the wound is still open, isn't it?
Yeah, the wound is pretty wide open there. Yeah. But, at the end of the day, it was a competitive game. I thought the better team won, to be honest. I think they played well at home. And their back three and their scrum half had a blinder of a game, to be honest. So they are deserved champions. Don't want to take anything away from them. I think we could have had a slightly better performance. I thought the referee didn't help us, for sure. But we want to go next season to come back and take it to the final and win the championship again. There's no point in playing the game if you don't want to win.
You want to spread the love a little bit, though? Come on, because you just want to win all the championships. What fun is it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, our fans deserve it. They demand it. Yeah.
CJ, Tony Ridnell, Rucky, Broccoli guy, the whole crew.
The whole crew. If we don't do well, you can just imagine what it's like to walk down the middle of Seattle if we don't do well. So we got to do well.
It is an intimate place.
It is, yeah.
And that stadium's dynamite. So, okay, how do you're selling out? How do you expand that stadium, or do you look for a different one?
Well, I think the stadium, there's things you can do to make it more accessible in terms of parking. and there's more things that we can do in terms of seating configuration to expand up and get more opportunity for fans to see the game. So there are some things we can do to kind of make it more accessible and get more people in the door so they can enjoy the game. There's things we can do on watch parties and things like that to get remote accessibility too. But one of the things that we are working on is we're working with the mayor. Seattle has a new mayor that came in, and we're working with that mayor and the school districts in the Seattle School District to take a look at redevelopment of Memorial Stadium, which is the stadium right beside the Space Needle. So we are working on that one. We don't have anything to sort of officially announce at this stage, but we are actively working with the mayor to try and become an anchor tenant at a brand new reimagined Memorial Stadium.
How many would that seat?
I think the plan that I saw last was about 9,000 seats, with another 3,000 standing. That's size, sort of size. Yeah.
That's great. Why don't you send the likes of Ridnell and Rucky and maybe Riekert Hadding over to maybe chat with the mayor about all of this?
That could be kind of fun.
I got a guy if you need it. I got a guy who can go talk to the mayor.
Yeah, but it's just, what we're trying to do is we're trying to build a fun environment in Seattle where people can enjoy the game, and kids can have access to the game, and then kids can practice outside of the game, and we get more and more people, being part of this fun thing called rugby. So that's what we're really trying to do. And if we can get a bigger stadium, then more people can enjoy the game.
Well, I've been up there a number of times, and it is just great. It's a great environment.
It's fantastic.
Great,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's one of the top 2, 3. I know you're going to say it's number 1. I'm diplomatically always negotiating with everybody else to get paid, so I am going to say it's top 3. So I don't single out anybody.
No, there's other stadiums that are great. I thought Boston was great. I really enjoyed that game.
Yeah.
I think there's teams that need to improve where they play, and I think everyone's got a plan for doing that. If we go into 2031, the Rugby World Cup, every team should be playing at a 10,000 seat stadium. That would be a really good victory for us. And if we could expand the league from, its current size up to 26, 28, 30 teams by 2031, that would be another strategic goal.
You mean from how many teams next year? From
that to
you didn't to 30. I tried to slide it in there. You didn't bite.
I know.
You're sharp. He's sharp, folks. He's very sharp.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, I think going into next season, I think people are going to be happy. I think the league office have worked really hard, and the board has worked hard to help keep everything moving forward in a positive way. And everyone's working in good faith to solve any issues that exist and move forward lockstep with a really happy, positive message going into 2023. And I think everyone's going to be pretty happy with it.
All right. While we're speaking about happy things, let me twist it and get a little angst in here. There are rumors circulating in the interwebs and Reddit about a change, perhaps at commissioner. Is Mr. Killebrew still on board?
Killebrew's he's the commissioner. So I mean, let's just leave it at that. He is the commissioner. He is in charge. Yeah.
Fair enough. And we talked about growing the game 2031. When will an owner or owners of USA of MLR franchises be on the USA Rugby board, because they have a stake in this, not just to help players grow for the World Cup, because you don't really have an obligation to that, but to develop the fan base. It would be helpful if we had good national teams, and it would raise the awareness of rugby in this country. So when's that going to happen, or is it going to happen?
So we need to build we need to have a team in every major market in the US. They need to play in 10,000 seater stadiums. We need to get that base of rugby fans moving, and we need to develop the player talent and the refereeing talent that can help make the game enjoyable for everybody. Clearly we have a 9-year roadmap that we need to, execute upon to make that dream a reality. And USA Rugby has a roadmap that they need to execute on. it would make sense to kind of join those roadmaps together and work in lockstep. So your idea about perhaps someone from MLR joining the board or getting involved in a more close relationship with USA Rugby and Rugby Canada, I think those are good ideas. Yeah.
Maybe get a Bill Webb on the board for Toronto. Get somebody, 2-3 of you guys, start with one or whatever on the USA Rugby board of directors, and help. Not go in there to police, but go in there to help. And you're all successful businessmen, so how.
I think it's a joined up plan, Matt, is what we're really looking for. MLR creates a plan. USA Rugby's got a plan. Wouldn't it be nice if they were in lockstep and integrated and working well together? That would be great.
Kumbaya. On that note, let's take a quick break, and we'll come back with more on LA and Austin and international players on rosters and the salary cap just after this.
I've been blind since I was 4, and I've never seen a beer commercial or a beer label. None of that stuff influences me. I drink beer because of the taste, and my beer is Pabst Blue Ribbon. It has the taste and the flavor.
What do you think's on the label?
I think there's a naked woman riding on a unicorn, jumping over fire. Oh, that's good beer.
And we are back. So let's get over to Major League Rugby squads and your take on the number of international players on each squad.
I think right now it's 10 in the match day 23. So you're allowed 10 foreigners out of the squad of 23 players. So there's 13 Americans for on each team. I think that's a good number. I think as you start getting towards the World Cup, that number may need to come down a little, but that's my personal view. I think that number starts to come down as we bring on board our academies, and players are coming through our academies and demonstrating that they can really play well, play hard. I think right now it's good to have some foreigners on the squads, because that you can create the spine of the team, and everyone can learn from people who've been playing it since we're 6 years old. So it helps everybody learn and come together. But I think over time it needs to come down.
So okay, because this will coincide actually if you're coming down and you're expanding to what we're talking about, 28, 30 teams perhaps is a goal for 2031, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where are we getting those players? Are we developing them on American soil to make up as we're going up in one direction with teams, and we're going down in international slots?
Yeah, we have to develop players. Like you can't have 28 or 30 teams without players coming through academies. So Seattle's setting up an academy. Other teams are setting up academies where if you take a look at a 16-year-old player today, they're basically in the prime of their playing career come 2031, right? So we need to focus on those youth players and get them brought through the academies and the systems. We're going into season 6 for MLR. That's the 6th year in a row that Seattle have played. We are starting to get our groove on in terms of developing players. You saw a couple of players come through from local players from Seattle last season. Going to see more of that and more, and we would expect each of the other teams to be doing the same sort of thing. So building your own player pool is always better than trying to buy a player pool. Yeah. And build versus buy.
Build versus buy. I like it. And would the academies be like they are with soccer, where they get a kid at an early age and they bring him to a school/boarding school and teach him soccer, and then he's associated with the franchise?
Everyone's going to do it their way, but you kind of take a look at under 14s, and you take a look at under 18s, and then you take a look at under 20s, and those sort of categories. And you need competitions within each of those categories. And the kids that are under 14 that do really well, they move into the under 18 programs, and then the under 18 program moves into the under 20 program. And then from the under 20 program, you're straight into MLR. So you're creating that pyramid structure. And obviously you want as many kids coming in at the under 14 level as you possibly can. So that requires working with schools, working with boys and girls clubs, working with different groups that you can to pull those together. Rugby is not a mature sport, as we know, in the US. So it's really starting from scratch and trying to pull, get the schools involved and get competitions going. I mean, it's one thing to play rugby, but if you don't have someone to play against, right? So if you need multiple schools at each of those levels to participate, to have those things happen. And then also there's club sides, and you get, if you can't get schools to compete, then get different clubs to compete against at those age groups as well. So yeah, it's building that pyramid and make sure the base of the pyramid is wide with a lot of people participating. That's how you win hearts and minds. That's how you build a successful franchise, and that's how you develop the player talent.
You just tell parents, especially those travel ice hockey parents, how they don't need to be spending $1,000 every other week on equipment and travel and everything else. It's just cleats, right?
Pair of cleats and a jersey, and off you go.
Yeah. All right. Let's wind this down. Your thoughts on the salary cap and how to avoid the kerfuffle, as I said to Tim Falcon, that we've had.
Every owner wants to pay players. And every owner wants their player pool to be healthy, and for players to earn a living wage. The difficulty is, as you raise the salary cap, you have to raise the insurance. So the insurance is tied to that. So it becomes very, very expensive very quickly, like a multiple of salaries.
So what's it like? 2 times the cap is what the formula is for the insurance, or something like that? Or
I don't think it's quite 2 times, but it's close. In certain states, it'll be 2 times. In other states, it would be less than that. And I don't know what the rolling average is, maybe 1.5 times or something like that. But it's a lot of money on insurance. So that's a difficulty when people look at salary caps, they say, oh, well, that's not a lot of money. But the reality is
not really the cap.
That's not the cap.
Not the hit.
That's not how much it costs. So it costs an awful lot more than that to actually pay the players what they're paid. So, but we do want to.
How much of a surprise was that to you guys? Did you guys know that ahead of time when you were saying, I'll become an owner?
I didn't know that,
right.
But sure as heck, I found out pretty quick. But I think one of the things is, I think everyone to a man or woman would like to raise the salary cap and pay players better salaries and living wages and things like that. We just have to find a way to do that that's commensurate with the business. So what is the point? We could double the salary cap today and then half teams go bankrupt. What's the point in that?
Yeah.
So it's I think I said it before, but we just have to grow the salary cap as we grow the sport. And I know that's not a good answer for some people, but it's the only realistic answer that we can have. There is no point in teams going bankrupt. Why do that? We're going to get there. As we build towards 2031, we will get there. But it's just people sometimes overestimate what you can get done in a year or two, and they underestimate what you can get done in 10 years.
So we should be like trying to kick down every single insurance company's door to become a sponsor for the league, right?
Well, USI is a sponsor for the league, so that's good. They're the largest private insurance company in the US. They're a great company.
In the time that we've been speaking, have there been any new developments in LA and Austin?
Those are still major cities in warm weather locations. I don't believe there's any change in status on that. I mean, I don't think there was an earthquake or anything that caused LA to fall into the ocean. Okay. So right. I think they're still the same.
It's the old joke. How do you keep an idiot in suspense? I'll tell you tomorrow. I just keep hearing that over and over again in my head from you guys. But I'm still waiting. I'm on the edge of my seat.
No one's trying to frustrate anyone. People are working very hard.
I know it's not deliberate, but it's frustrating nonetheless. I'm sure it's as frustrating for you guys.
Patience is a virtue, right?
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Depends on how virtuous the person is.
There you go. But people are working really hard to resolve any issues and make sure that we can move forward to a very successful 2023 season. And everyone's working in good faith, and there's a lot of good people involved. So let's just see how that plays out.
Final thoughts, Adrian, because we're running out of time.
It's going to be a good season, and your Western Conference champions are going to be back, and we're going to make a real play to win the championship in 2023.
And will it be a cup, or it's still going to be a shield?
It's a shield,
Okay.
and unless someone's made a decision and not told me. But
if I'm in charge of that, I'm making it a cup so we can drink out of it. That's just what I want. It's, Stanley Cup, the World Series trophy, the Vince Lombardi, they're all cups.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an owner of a team. You have to talk to the commissioner about that.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's above my pay grade.
Yeah, I don't know about that. But on that note, thank you, Mr. Adrian Balfour.
Sure, thanks. And keep up the good work, Matt. Keep up the good work.
Trying to do it. And I also want to thank Mr. John Fitzpatrick of Rugby Morning, and thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including the Rugby Odds, the College Rugby Wrap-Up. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube, sign up for our weekly newsletter, and please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.